Sometimes cars on the street or in the parking lot surprise us so much that we can't help but stare. Companies and people have made strange cars throughout the history of the industry. Throughout the years, many great cars have been overlooked at times. We wanted to bring attention to these rare and unique cars. Here are some of the odd and rare older cars you don't see every day. We start out with the Mach 5. Need we say more? This speed racer car number 5 with the triangular front end was made to be a speed demon. The real-life version is a very strange muscle car that was made from a Corvette. Would you let people see you driving this car? With this serious look, you might get a lot of people to race with you. Next is the 1980 four-door Corvette sedan. This is not a fake or a Photoshop. This is a car that really did exist in the 1980s and that you or I could have bought. But only 6 Corvettes with 4 doors were ever made. One was a prototype, and the other 5 were made just for the person. Each car was made by cutting 2 cars in half. When the 2 halves were put back together, the wheelbase was 30 inches longer. Next on the odd and rare older cars you don't see every day is the Ford Torino GT. From 1968 to 1976, Ford made the Ford Torino GT for the North American market. Most were regular cars, with sedans with 4 doors and hardtops, with 2 doors being the most popular types. Ford, however, made high-performance versions of the Torino, called the Torino GT. These cars had huge, powerful engines like the 428 cubic inch and the 429 cubic inch Cobra jet engines. There was also a 2-door sports roof and a convertible version of the GT, while the Torino Cobra was only available as a sports roof with 2 doors. Next is the Dodge Demon. The Demon was introduced in 2 levels. It came with either a 198 cubic inch slant 6 or a 340 cubic inch V8. The larger of the 2 engines went hand in hand with the name, complete with cartoon devil and trident decals on the vehicle. In addition to the 340 cubic inch engine, capable of producing 275 horsepower and 340 pound-foot of torque, the 1971 Demon 340 was also equipped with a synchronized floor-shifted 3-speed manual transmission, all-wheel drum brakes, a sure grip differential, dual exhaust, and the 14-inch wheels with Goodyear GT tires. Up next on the list is the 1968 Molson Corvair. William Bill Molson, a designer for GM, wanted to make a car that could go faster than a Corvette and handle better than a Lotus. The 1968 Molson Corvair was the idea he came up with. It was exactly what he had promised, and he built it for only $2,000. Molson finished the car in 1969, and in 1970 he registered it in Michigan as an assembled vehicle. It took 6 years to finish. Despite its success, the car didn't move for over 40 years, until 2017 when it was sold for $41,800. Up next on the rare and odd cars is the 1964 Ford P68. Due to changes in the FIA regulations in 1967, Ford pulled out of sports car racing. They required a new vehicle, so they had one prototyped by research engineer Len Bailey and auto racing team member Alan Mann racing out of the UK. Ford dubbed this car as the P68, also known as the 3L GT. Although it got off to a strong start, the automobile had mechanical and electrical failures at high speed. Next is the 1969-1970 Ford Boss 429. Released in 1969 and 1970, the Boss 429 Mustang is a high-performance version of the Ford Mustang. The Boss is a unique and highly sought-after muscle automobile. It was born out of a need to create a Ford engine that could challenge Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi in NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series. Ford finally settled on the Mustang as the vehicle to install the new engine. In fact, if you manage to get your hands on one of these rare vehicles, you may walk away with as much as $417,000 at an auction. Up next on the rare and odd vehicles we don't see every day is the 1994 through 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. On February 14, 1994, production of the Impala SS began at GM's Arlington factory in Texas. The production model looked nearly identical to the concept car. In essence, it was a more powerful take on the Chevy Caprice. Base equipment came largely from the Caprice 9C1 police kit, which was previously only distributed to government agencies. A high-output electrical system, dual exhaust, and sports-tuned suspension disc brakes were standard equipment. Next is the 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88. The 1967 Stingray was the final model year of the second generation of Corvettes, and improvements made over the previous 5 years made it the greatest of the range. The L88 was the pinnacle Corvette powertrain for 1967. Although the L88 was rated at 430 horsepower at 4,600 revolutions per minute by the manufacturer, the actual horsepower output of the engine was rumored to be closer to 560 horsepower at 6,400 revolutions per minute. Exactly 20 of these were made. Next up on the rare and odd cars we don't see every day is the 1967 Dodge Coronet RT. The Coronet RT came as a two-door hardtop and a drop-top. The 440 cubic inch V8, Chrysler's largest engine, was standard. It was tuned to produce 375 horsepower and was given the Magnum moniker. The 426 cubic inch Hemi was once again the sole available motor, and this year marked its second year in street form with a 425 output rating. Both a 4-speed manual and Mopar's superb heavy-duty 3-speed TorqueFlite automatic were offered as drivetrain options. Up next on our list is the Chrysler 300 Hurst. 5 years after the release of the last Chrysler in the letter series, the 300L came the 1970 Chrysler Hurst 300, which did not retain the single letter suffix of its predecessors. The Chrysler 300 isn't widely recognized as a letter series vehicle by auto historians, although it was a high-performance take on the luxurious 300 and was designed with input from aftermarket parts producer Hurst Performance. It is estimated that only 501 Chrysler 300 Hursts were ever built. Next up on our list is the 1966 Plymouth Satellite. Plymouth Satellite was only offered in convertible and two-door hardtop forms when it debuted as a 1965 model year top-grade vehicle in Plymouth's mid-size Belvedere series. The revised Satellite received a street Hemi engine in 1966, which had dual 4-barrel carburetors. At 5,000 RPM, this motor produced 425 horsepower. Next on our list of the odd and rare cars you don't see every day is the 1964 Mercury Marauder. Mid-year releases, such as the Marauder's debut in 1963, are often referred to as 1963 and a half models. The powertrain options were comparable to the full-size Fords, and the majority of the parts were shared between the two brands. Available V8 motor sizes included 390, 406, and the 427. One could choose between a 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, and a 3-speed automatic transmission. Next is the 1987 Buick GNX Grand National Experimental. The limited production GNX was released by Buick in 1987. The collaboration with McLaren Performance Technologies led to this outcome. Only 547 vehicles were built by Buick with the full interior trim package before they were shipped to McLaren to receive the necessary improvements to become the Buick GNX. Black paint, a 6-cylinder engine, and Buick brand all contributed to the Grand Nationals being dubbed the dark side by some. Next is the AMC Javelin. From 1966 through 1970 and 71 through 74, AMC produced and sold 2 models of the Javelin. The news that Penske Racing would be taking over the AMC Javelin program, leaving Jim Hall in charge of the Camaro Trans Am program, was one of the biggest shocks of the 1970 motorsports season. To seriously race Javelins in the SCCA Trans Am series, a American Motors had to contract Roger Penske and driver Mark Donohue. Last on our rare and odd cars we don't see every day is the 1975 Firebird Trans Am. The Trans Am was a specialty package for the Firebird, with upgraded handling suspension and horsepower, as well as minor appearance modifications, such as exclusive hoods, spoilers, fog lights, and wheels. These cars came with a 455 high-output decal on the shaker hood scoop. Only 857 were built as it was a mid-year edition. Well, there you have it. Some of the rare and odd cars we don't see every day on the streets. What'd you think? Let us know. Leave a comment below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell for future Boca Brother video notifications. This is Dan E.B. of the Boca Brothers. Again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.